Good evening, everyone. Boy, oh boy, we have got a full house tonight. It's very nice to have lots of people in our audience. So I am going to call this meeting, a regular meeting of the 77th Monrovia City Council to order at 7:33 p.m. this Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. And we are going to open this meeting in honor of Alana Michelle, born November 25th, 2024, to Eric and Veronica, and I'm saying Michelle, it's Michel, so if I mispronounce the last name, I do apologize, but welcome to Monrovia. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So we will move on then, and we will have our invocation by Pastor Joel Larson, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Edward Belden.
Good evening, everyone. Merry Christmas. I did not get the ugly sweater memo. Just a boring sweater tonight. Sorry. May we pray? Gracious God, we thank you that we are gathered here tonight in our country where we experience freedom to gather, freedom to work wholeheartedly, freedom to care and serve our city, Monrovia. We pray for our nation's leaders and our local leaders here at City Council that they may govern with wisdom, humility, and integrity. Thank you that in this Christmas season we celebrate God with us, Emmanuel. You have moved into the neighborhood, and we thank you that we are not alone. As the ancient prophet Isaiah wrote, "For a child has been born for us, a son given to us. Authority rests upon his shoulders, and he is named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." Gracious God, please be a wonderful counselor to those in this Christmas season who may be lonely or depressed or grieving the loss of a loved one. Please be mighty God, bringing justice and wholeness to our world and to our community. Please be an everlasting Father who gives belonging and love to those whose hearts are hurting. And please be Prince of Peace, bringing wholeness and shalom where family relationships are fractured. Some of us feel that. Some of us estranged from families, God, in this season, and others where we just enjoy our families. Lord, wherever our hearts are anxious, please be Prince of Peace. Fill each resident of Monrovia here and elsewhere, God, in each neighborhood and every city street with your joy and your peace in this holiday season. And we commit this meeting and all that we do to your care. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen. Amen. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Echo. Patriotic echo.
All right.
Okay. Then we did, our roll call.
Councilmember Belden.
Present.
Jimenez.
Present.
Spicer.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Kelly. Present. Mayor Shevlin.
Here. Then a report of closed session. We did have closed session prior to this session, so I'll let Mr. Steele report out.
Thank you, Mayor. All council members were present for the closed session regarding the one item on the posted agenda, and the council took no reportable action.
Thank you very much. Then moving on to presentations and proclamations, as you can all see. Sorry, Joel, that you didn't get the memo for the ugly sweater contest. But we've started this tradition, or we've had, it's been several years now that we've done this. And it's just all in fun. I don't know how you want to proceed with that. I mean, we can all get up, and I know that there's some staff members too that participated.
So I think now's a really good time. We need a little bit of crowd assistance and some cheering as we invite everybody who is wearing an ugly sweater. This includes any of our staff. Tiffany, thank you for getting the memo and joining us. We expect you to participate. Ginger here in the front row, who many of you know.
Mine is ugly. I think it's pretty.
And I think where the city council has always made this a
Sarah?
fun tradition, we want this to be fun, and we hope you'll enjoy. So if we can invite everybody to come up who's wearing the ugly sweater. Tina, I see you back there in the corner.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, go ahead and describe it.
Okay, my sweater is the iconic Monrovia Christmas bear. You've all heard of Samson the bear? This is an updated Christmas version of Samson, the Christmas bear here in Monrovia. And see this pocket, this pocket right here, he's actually drinking something that looks like coffee or hot chocolate. And it's to promote Monrovia's hot chocolate that we have.
Hey,
If you go to Ruiz, they have champurrado.
you're kidding me.
Mexican hot chocolate, and right here at Passion Gray, great hot chocolate and coffee.
You're killing me, Sergio.
Get something warm in Monrovia at Christmas.
Well, what I'm wearing is very important. I'm Santa's helper, a little elf, and I'm here to make sure that all Monrovian children get a nice prize
For what?
on Christmas morning. Are you delivering? I'm making sure. So only if I win will you get it. So tell your parents.
Well, mine is just kind of ugly, and I pinned on, it's the 12 days of Christmas on there, and I won't sing the song for you, but, and I've got them on the back, so. Very, very ho, ho, ho.
Oh, it needs no explanation. You guys are all my homies.
Sarah, come on. Come on, Sarah.
Kitty.
My favorite part about it though.
Ah.
Does it have hot chocolate in there?
TT.
How do you beat that? I got nothing.
Oh,
Nice hat, though.
Attorney, please stand up.
All right.
Peanuts.
oh, snap.
I have a little homage to the greatest Christmas special. Provided from a little fashion designer house that you might have heard of called Amazon.com. And I'm very proud of the polyester.
And our city manager?
I happen to think the greatest story of all is actually not Peanuts, but it's actually The Grinch, and this is just Frosty the Snowman.
Come on. Stand up, please. Come on.
I'm just wearing a sweater with my name plate, because my name's Ginger, and, sometimes I can snap a little bit, so Ginger.
For the voting.
All right, is that everybody who wants to participate? All right, so I don't really know how we're going to do this vote. We didn't. Let's just do this. Let's have everyone go through. Alice, that's a great idea. Let's have everyone step forward. Cheer as loud as you can for the person you want to be the winner. Alice Atkins. Next up, Sergio Jimenez. All right, next up, Dr. Tamala Kelly. Mayor Becky Shevlin. All right. We have Tina Cherry. We have Sarah Godinez. All right. We have City Attorney Craig Steele. Nice. All right. We have Tiffany Peterson and Ginger Antunez. And Dylan Feek. The winner is Dylan Feek. No, I'm just kidding. So this is just based on, I'm gonna play the judge card here for a moment. I think the two loudest cheers I heard were for Sergio and Tamala. Does that sound right? So now you got one more vote, one final vote. Now is for the prize. As I mentioned earlier, it's a trophy, but it's either made of gold or of plastic. So first up, also from the same local distributor, Amazon, Sergio Jimenez. All right, Dr. Tamala Kelly. Okay, so I want everyone to report back that she visits your house on Christmas morning. Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Tamala Kelly.
That's a bribe. That's a bribe. That's a bribe.
Yeah, if we could, let's get everybody up here and we'll do a quick photo op for everyone to participate. Thank you all, everyone, for participating tonight.
That was a bribe.
I'd like to thank my mom.
I'll be putting my phone.
I lost my 6 geese lane. Okay, moving right along here, I do see that Pasadena Humane is here and Kevin McManus. So please come on down and let's see our pet for the evening. Oh my, it's already making friends on the way down.
The kids are.
Hi,
Good evening,
Kevin.
everybody. First of all, bravo, everybody. That I always forget, and then I come, and it just brings such a smile to my face. That the ugly sweater contest is fantastic. So, speaking of smiles, I brought Santa's little helper here, Nita. Nita is an 8-year-old, who knows what kind of mix. She just came to us stray a couple weeks ago, but is obviously winning hearts everywhere she goes. Big fan of kids, big fan of people. Not a big fan of other dogs, but you know, we'll give her a pass on that. Nita is one of the many, many, many large dogs that we have at the shelter right now. So many that we're really desperate for folks who are able to foster or adopt this time of year. It is a great time to adopt or foster if you don't, not ready to 100% commit. Helps us to get more information about the dogs, but of course, if you're able to adopt, it's a great time to do that as well because we're doing a promotion starting on Thursday. It's called Roses and Wet Noses because we're also participating in the Rose Parade again this year. Very excited about that. And to celebrate that, we're doing fee-waived adoptions for all dogs over 40 pounds, like lovely Nita here. One other quick thing that I wanted to mention is our licensing team will be in the city of Monrovia for the next week or two. So if you see anybody wearing Pasadena Humane gear out asking you if you have a dog or reminded you to renew your dog's license or to get your dog's license, please give them a welcome, give them a cookie, and license your dogs if you have not done so. All right.
Okay, we'll come down and get a quick
please do.
picture with Nita. Okay. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this one. This is the PR3 Recognition of 2024 Holiday Parade Award winners. And we have Tiffany Peterson, our Recreation Supervisor, who will be handling this one.
Good evening, Mayor Shevlin and City Council members. This evening, we have the pleasure of assisting you with congratulating the holiday parade winners. This year was one of our biggest parades to date. We had over 90 entries who helped spread holiday cheer throughout Monrovia. We would like to share a special thanks to our 3 wonderful judges, our Community Services Chair, Gina Mills, our Volunteer Center of San Gabriel Valley Director, Macy Gracia, and one of our youth commissioners, Rodney Martinez, who helped decide the award winners. Tonight, we will be congratulating each entry with a certificate of recognition and a trophy. At this time, if we could ask the council to come, we're going to be calling up each individual winner to take a wonderful photo with you all. So first up, we're going to be calling up the best band, which is Clifton Middle School, and Tim Weed and a couple other band members are here with us. Next, we have our best float. Mayflower Elementary School won this. I don't believe we have anyone in attendance, but we still did want to recognize them. Next, we have our Judges Award, which is Plymouth Elementary, and we have Sophia, Jake, and Alexis here tonight. Next up, we have our best dance squad, and that's going to be our Brad Oaks Village dance team. Representing is Carrie and Brian with the Dance Girls. And now to round out our parade winners, we have our best holiday spirit, which is Dancing for His Glory. This is Brooklyn and Amanda. Awesome. Thank you to all the winners again, and congratulations. Next, we're going to be moving into our holiday home and Old Town decorating contest. This year, we had over 22 entries who shared their holiday joy with the community. We would like to thank our Community Services Commission, who helped determine the awards for our holiday home decorating. So tonight, we're going to be recognizing them also with a certificate as well as a window display sign all year, so they could display it all year long. So our first one up for home decorating is most effective use of lights, and that's going to be 1621 Pilgrim Way. I don't believe we have, yes, we don't have anyone in attendance for them, but we did want to recognize them. Next up, we have our best still display, which is 209 South Sunset Place, and we have Michael and Kensley Ryder up here in attendance. Next, we have our Judges Award, which is 12 Hidden Valley Road. And we have in attendance Joni and Jim Maines. Next, we have our Best Neighborhood Effort, which is our 500 block of Velmont Drive and Velmont Place. We have a few in attendance tonight. We have Carol and George Hills. We have Susie, Manuel, Charles, and Tricia as well.
Great team effort.
Yeah. Next, we have Santa's Workshop Award. They were unable to attend, but we did want to recognize 325 Meadow Lane. Next one up, we have our Best Outdoor Display, which is 308 Oak Cliff Road. And we have Colin and Annie Neese in attendance. Next up, we have our Judges Award, which is Let's Go Hair, and we have Ruby in attendance.
Hey, by the way, I cheered for you as loud as I could, my friend.
Too bad.
I know. I was loud for you. And she knew it too. She looked at me. All right, one more. Ruby.
Next up, we have our Most Holiday Spirited Award, which goes to Hot Shot Salon, and we have Leslie Lopez.
Picture with me, and this is my coworker.
And now to round out the Old Town winners, we have Most Spectacular, which is Casanova Roofing. And we have Yvonne in attendance.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Perfect. So that rounds out all the winners. The last slide is just letting you all know that we will be having a map being displayed on our website as early as tomorrow, so the community can enjoy all the holiday homes and the Old Town businesses throughout the holiday season. So thank you, council. Thank you, everyone, and congratulations to all the winners once again. Thank you.
Well, you know what? I should probably just have this. Okay, and now we have a very, very special recognition of World War II veteran Joe Shiera. And we've got a certificate here for you for your 100th birthday. In honor of you. I think we can all stand and sing a happy birthday to Joe.
Big deal.
Yeah.
He must be in the army.
On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joe. Happy birthday to you. Okay. Let's go.
Cupcake.
First of all, I want to thank you for having me here this evening. I'm an Arcadian. But it seems like I'm getting a lot of recognition from outside our city, from friends like you. I appreciate that very much. I am a World War II veteran. I am a combatant veteran. I'm lucky to be here. I have stories to tell. I've been traveling all over the United States, speaking in regards of all veterans and all the bad things that happened to us in our combat, and something that we want all the people in this country to know what veterans go through in combat. And I'm really proud to do that. I've been to Kingston, New York. I've been to New Orleans. I've been to Texas. I've been invited to go to the far island there, Hawaii. But I've been flying so much that I felt that there's too much to do. But today I had a surprise party in Alhambra by the Alhambra Rotary Club, and I've been recognized in the city of Azusa. In fact, they want to adopt me. That's right. Then I also was invited to the Azusa Veterans Building, and I see a young man there. He was there. I recognized him, and so that was quite an experience. And also, I've been very well recognized. And now I am here in Monrovia with all you beautiful people, and it's a story I'll have to tell everybody about this evening. And I'm so grateful at my age to be where I'm at, and hopefully Saturday we have a big crowd coming over. We didn't invite anybody; they just decided to come. They decided to be there, so, and I'm happy about that. And but everything, so many things been happening to me
being invited to so many places, and this beautiful gal here, Maria, she's been watching me for some time, and she's a gal that goes around looking after veterans and their needs and everything, and she makes sure that we get everything that we're entitled to. That's always a beautiful thing. But I am so grateful to have me here this evening. I appreciate that very much.
And so that people at home can hear it too. We have the certificate for you, and the City of Monrovia would like to wish you a happy 100th birthday. You are very special, and honor is due for your years of service as an infantryman in the U.S. Army, serving in the Pacific Theater, your part in the Battle of Luzon and the liberation of the Philippines. Thank you for your contributions to our country and community. May you have a joyous celebration with family and friends this December 21st, 2024. Oh, well, it says, is that your birthday, the 21st?
Yes.
Well, we're giving it to you tonight.
I thank you very kindly. I thank you.
We
I
are
thank you very
proud,
kindly.
we
Yeah.
are very proud of you and so
Yeah.
thankful to have you here with us.
Thank
So
you.
we can take a little photo here. Can you,
Maybe we should go to him.
yeah, wait, we can go this way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a little veteran up in here, brother.
Congratulations.
From DPN. All right, everyone look over here. 1, 2, 3. 3.
Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Everything. I will get a hug. Yeah, for everything. Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, you can go ahead and give your,
For you?
well, we also have some comments from staff too for Joe. Okay.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you.
Is it okay? Can you stand here? And we've got a few more comments.
No, you want me to stand here?
Well, or you can sit, whichever you'd like to do.
I'll stand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joe, I just wanted to surprise you
Yeah,
and just to
nice.
let you know that we appreciate you. From one, sorry,
Yeah.
I don't want to cry. I befriended Joe back in February, and we've been having our coffees and our talks, and it's really nice to have a friendship with someone like you, from one fellow Army veteran to another. I thank you for your service, and I'm glad that you're my friend.
Oh, we're more than friends. Especially so beautiful now.
I appreciate you, Joe.
thank
And
you.
happy birthday, and I will be there for you for Saturday. Just
Thank
wanted to surprise you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
Joe, obviously, city council officials, we're so honored to be here to celebrate this American hero who paved the way for us veterans to do what we do. We'd also like to recognize, because this program and Military Veterans Affairs, we would not be here today if it weren't for the hard work of a woman at the library who back in 2013 was hired. In 2016, she was instrumental in bringing the Veterans Connect at the library with CalVet. And I'm able to be here today alongside Maria to honor and to connect with a gentleman like Mr. Chiara. We are very, very fortunate to have that. Mabel has worked tirelessly, and I know I speak on behalf of Congresswoman Chu's office, Congresswoman Napolitano, and Military Veterans Affairs, our partners with with the VSOs. Our VSOs are so crucial. We would not be here without the instrumental impact and the help and the advocacy that Mabel has brought to our city. And we're so fortunate. I'm very fortunate to call Monrovia my home. But Mabel, if you would come up here, please, we would like to recognize you as well for your continued service to our community and your tireless efforts. Thank you so much.
Hey, I remember you.
I was holding your coin in my pocket. So this is yours on behalf of the Veteran Peer Access Network, and a certificate of appreciation. It's not much, but I hope that if it goes on your wall, you will look at it every day and realize just the instrumental impact you make on us every single day. The ripples and the waves of what you see, you may only see a portion of it, but we all see it every day, and everybody in this community does. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for giving us this opportunity.
Beautiful. Were you at Azusa? When I was, not too long ago? No.
Oh, Feel the Flags, yeah, you guys were.
Feel the Flags, yeah.
You guys were, yeah.
Right.
I don't mean, no, I for Mabel and Joe, I'm so thankful for the work you guys do in our community. Joe, you laid the groundwork for the freedoms that we stand upon today, and I don't think any amount of thank you or certificates will do it justice, but we're gonna keep giving you shirts till we try.
Thank you.
And then, Mabel, you've worked so hard for the residents of the Singapore Valley. I can't overstate enough how much that when we're not able to deal with a particularly difficult case, you and Brock are the first people we call, and we know you get results. And to get anything done in government takes an incredible amount of persistence, and your life has been defined by persistence for fighting for what's right. So thank you for your service.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Anyone else?
Oh, I do actually have something for Joe. This is from Congresswoman Napolitano's office. She couldn't be here tonight, but she wanted to give you a challenge coin.
Oh, beautiful.
And
Thank
she
you.
also wanted to give this for all of your years of service. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy, remember Tracy?
Yeah.
Cooper.
Yeah, right.
That's from her.
Beautiful.
Do you guys mind to take a picture up front with the city council? Should we have everybody come back around? Yeah. Or is that better?
No, I want to thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
No,
very
it's
kindly.
important, it's
Yeah.
important.
Well deserved. We gotta get her up front.
Vet to vet. Here, Larry, you could be right here, because you're the veteran.
Okay.
You put this right here. Sorry.
Could you take another one without me?
No more film.
Real quick, sorry. Thank you, bro.
All right.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Wow, great.
And we still have a birthday cake for you, so you can take home.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
She got a digital camera.
Get to moving. What does that mean? Okay, boo.
It's sunglasses. It emulates sunglass material. Like that?
Oh, that definitely was a very special treat, acknowledging both Mabel and Joe. So, and I just wanted to mention Mabel Cross. She runs the resource center, the Veterans Resource Center at our library, and it is such an asset for us here at the city, and resources for our veterans. They deserve the very best. And they have that in Mabel and all the other volunteers that help. So thank you, Mabel. Okay, moving right along. Student government representative report. She was at a soccer game, wasn't able to make it tonight. We hope she won. And then order of business, I don't believe that we have anything out of order. Then consent calendar, which are items CC1 through CC13, are all considered ordinary business and can be entertained in one motion unless, is there anything that needs to be pulled or discussed? I'm not hearing anything, so do we have a motion to approve our consent calendar?
I make a motion to approve our consent calendar CC1 through CC13.
Oh, that's second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second, then without objection, so approved. Then moving on to public input, and this is the time for the public to come forward if they'd like to give any input on items not on our agenda. Do we have any? And our city clerk will call you up. She has some cards. And so please, if you could approach the podium and state your name, and we'd love to hear from you.
Beginning with Community Media of the Foothills, Barbara Golar and Sheila Spicer. Deets.
Hi, Barbara.
Hello.
Oh, and the whole crew's coming
The
out.
whole crew is here.
Oh, this is the Cave Gym Board.
Yes. Well, good evening, Mayor Shevlin and City Council members and staff. As you know, I'm Barbara Golar, and President of Community of the Foothills. And we're actually here tonight to formally introduce the new board. And I'm really super excited about doing this. We have, well, okay, I have my list, but so I'm going to start here with Sheila Spicer Baptiste. She's our secretary. And then I have Barbara, let's see, in order. So we have Barbara McNellis is a board member. And then we have Stephanie Rosa. We have a new position, and she is our compliance officer. And then we have Fred, excuse me. Uh-oh.
You need some water? I've got.
It hasn't been opened. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You need the hammock maneuver or what?
Yeah.
No. When I get excited. We have, who did I leave off at? Fred, okay. We have Fred here as our treasurer. And we have Gotham is a board member. And we have, I know the tallest one here. We have Jason Vance as our vice president here. And I'm really, like I said, I'm really super excited. Each of these individuals really brings a wealth of expertise, energy, and passion to the organization. And together, we are really here dedicated. Actually, let me back up really, really quick. This is our, I said this before, we really want to introduce not only to the city council, but also to the city of Monrovia, because knowing this is filmed, so we want folks to know that we're here. And, excuse me. Sorry about that when I get excited. And we're just really and truly dedicated to strengthening what we are able to do and uplift the city, our rich history that we have here, and to tell our stories. And so just briefly, just really, again, excited about this short period of time, but what we have accomplished really and truly within the last 6 months. And one of the things is being a part of All-American City and being a part of that team and winning. Yay! And we won 5 awards from Alliance Community Media, which includes the WAVE Award, and we took home a Hometown Award. We've done over 243 productions, videos. We have established our community coordinating, which is Chris Los, which, as a result of that, we got 3 nonprofits doing, there was brand new and doing the PSAs, and really excited about, a lot of you participated in our 6-hour pledge that we did, and we raised a little over $2,000. We made some changes to our bylaws in regards to elections versus appointment of our board of directors. And we appointed this new board of directors that we have here. And we have a new email address that's directly just for the board of directors, which is kjimtv2@gmail.com. And like I stated before with Stephanie Rosa, we thought that was really wonderful to have is a compliance officer, which Fred would be working with compiling that. And so that will be with us at every meeting that we have. And if you haven't looked at our website, you'll see pictures of the board and staff and volunteers, as well as, if you remember before, when you opened up our page, you just saw the foothills, which was beautiful, but that's not who we are. So now when you go to the website, you see you all. You really see what we do. And we just completed the documentary of the Welcome Wagon, which was excellent and premiered just last week. Oh, it was this week, huh? Was it this week? No, last week. I'm getting mixed up with the days of the week here. And then also we have going into our second year of the Ralph Walker paid internship, which the Ralph Walker Committee will be interviewing those individuals in January. Also, we had 3 new shows. Digital Dialogue, which Gotham is the expert on that with AI, and Chris Los is the producer of that. And Voices of Hope, Healing Together. I just got a little emotional about that, and which Mayor Shevlin and Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Kelly were panels on that show, and Rising Voices, and which I'm really excited about that as well, because we have 3 students from the high school that will be putting all that together themselves, and that will air probably in the end of January or the beginning of February. And we started have marketing plans in the works. And currently we've been talking to, David and I have been talking to Monrovia Adult School in a possible partnership. And we've also created a sponsorship packet as well as a PSA packet to give to individuals. And we have created, really excited about this, that just emailed to Flint at the adult school, is a 12-week certificated TV production that, people will actually be able to get a certificate that they completed this program. And that's something that David and I are working with Flint with. And also, I personally just completed a grant writing boot camp. So, that possibility, I'm looking into being able to get grants. And then we have people that's going to be helping us. And we also have become members of the Nonprofit Leadership Lab, which has really been instrumental in helping us put things together and function. So, and as some of you were there at the holiday just yesterday, a couple came to me and wanting to do a fundraiser for us, as well as another organization wants to do a fundraiser. So we're really excited about the possibilities and what we have, and then just really excited about working with these individuals, which I call ambassadors. And so, I also like to thank all of you for your continuous support. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And your holiday party, that was great, but also the airing of the preview on the welcome wagon, that was awesome. And
Yes.
all of Monrovia needs to see that video about Hal and
Yes.
Hal Levins and John Watson and the welcome wagon. We need to find support for them and the next chapter
Yes,
as well.
we were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah. So it was a great video, though.
It's airing
Absolutely.
right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's airing on the station right now, but
All right.
also if you don't have Spectrum, it's Spectrum, right? Because I don't have it. Go to YouTube. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
And congratulations, and nice to meet you, board members.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
I was a spokesperson as a new member. Good evening, Mayor Shevlin and City Council members. As one of the new members of the Board of Directors for CMF, I want to express my genuine excitement about serving this impactful organization. As a lifelong Monrovian and a former long-term city employee, I have seen firsthand the critical role community partnerships play in the success of our city. Monrovia is truly fortunate and nicely blessed to have so many dedicated community partners, and even more fortunate that we work so well together. That spirit of collaboration is something not every city can claim, and it's part of what makes Monrovia so special. While I was already aware of the services that CMF provides, these past months on the board have deepened my appreciation for its invaluable contributions. CMF is truly one of Monrovia's hidden gems, connecting and empowering our community through its work. I am eager to help expand CMF's reach and ensure its services are better known and utilized throughout our community. Together, I believe we can enhance CMF's impact and continue to strengthen the collaborative spirit that defines our city. Thank you for your time and continued support for our community, for your community partners.
Thank you very much. Do we have any, we have another request.
Robert Hansen.
Good evening.
Hi, my name's Robert Hansen, and I just wanted to find out, I had heard that there were plans to put an enclosed doggy park at a recreation park, and I wanted to find out if that was fact or fiction, and if it is true, I was wondering if there's an update.
I think, is Tina still here? I think Tina can, unless you wanted to handle that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer. Perhaps I could do it at the end of public comment. Would that be okay?
Okay.
And Tina Cherry back there, our head of community services, she's also there, might be able to help you as well. But we'll address that at the end of public comment. Is there anyone else wanting to address the council on public input on an item that's not on the agenda? Okay, then we will close that portion and we will move on to, we don't have any public hearings this evening, and then we will move on to reports of city manager and staff. Mr. Feek.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Mayor. Just to speak to Mr. Hansen's question, a few years ago, we had looked at potentially putting in an enclosed section of dog park at Recreation Park. We held a couple community meetings to look at the possibilities. I think the community members who came out were very much in favor of a dog park, but there were significant concerns about doing one at Recreation Park. So at that time, and this was about 2 years ago, we said we'll basically either look for another location or maybe find an alternative way to allow dogs access to parks, but we're not going to do a dog park at Recreation Park. I think the challenge is, there's a whole lot of discussion, and I think that's where Tina Cherry, our Community Services Director, she's in the back in the green hat, could answer any more specific questions that you might have if you want to know about what some of those reasons were, why the neighbors were opposed. We actually came and presented a few reports back to City Council. But if there is any lingering discussion about it, right now the City of Monrovia is not pursuing any dog park component at Recreation Park. I would just highlight that as we wrap up completion of the construction project at Canyon Park. We recently finished Rotary Park. We soon have Sineshi Park and many other park projects. Here in the near future, we'll soon begin discussing recreation park improvements, where we're going to do significant enhancements and renovations to all the facilities at the park that are there, from trails, new lighting, upgraded ball fields, parking lots, all those things. Even within those plans, there is no current plan for a dog park. In addition, additional directives update, I would just like to highlight that tonight, we discussed earlier in a study session meeting, an inclusionary housing policy. This has been of interest to many Monrovians. We'll make sure to share that information in City Manager's update on the City Manager's website. There's a lot of discussion, a lot of great deliberation. I think it's been very clear that we all want to see more housing. We want to see more affordable housing. And there's a lot of great information that's available to members of the public should they like to learn more and become engaged. We hope they will. A couple additional items I'd like to share with the council, which will soon come back to you for updates. There was if you recall earlier, a few months ago, we discussed a status of the police department and specifically crime in Monrovia. We're getting very close to having a complete year of data. We're going to return to City Council either in January, February to provide the full calendar year of crime, compare that to the last couple years. At that same report item, we're going to share with you some additional updates which I think are going to impact the city of Monrovia. There's a new district attorney who was elected and sworn into office. The district attorney has begun meeting with cities and the county and various law enforcement agencies recently to express how they are going to pursue criminal prosecution, which I do think will be different than it was under the previous district attorney. And we're spending a lot of time now to understand what that means, how it's going to impact us. And we'll want to bring that back to the city council and share how that impacts Monrovia. We expect it essentially to lead to more criminal filings. Also, there is a new Proposition 36, which reclassifies certain items as misdemeanor charges, among other things, and we'll be providing a report back on that as well. Lastly, for my report, the city recently received information from the state fire marshal. The state is undertaking a process to upgrade the fire maps that are basically used in development and planning around municipalities. These maps will certainly impact homeowners within the very high fire severity zone. What we're waiting to see is where they're going to redraw the lines of these maps, how many homes, which homes are going to include in the very high fire severity zones and high fire severity zones. Typically, there's different development considerations, construction considerations when your home is located in a very high fire severity zone. Things as simple as obtaining homeowners insurance become more difficult. The state has not released any of the maps to us yet, which makes us a little bit leery, so we don't want to get anyone overexcited at this point in time, but we expect that they'll be releasing these maps in the very beginning of the new year. And we'll want to assess as quickly as possible how this impacts Monrovia, because we have a significant amount of our community that is in the very high fire severity zone. Those are my updates for this evening. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions of Dylan? Okay, thank you very much. And again, if you'd like, Tina is at the back there. If you'd like to talk to her, she could give you more information about the dog park. Then we are moving on then to our reports of city council members, and I will start with Mr. Spicer.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a reminder to the residents in Monrovia that we'll be hosting 2 New Year's Eve events this year. So with the first one beginning at Library Park at 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. for a family-friendly noon Year's Eve event. We will have a live band, fun activities, and a countdown at noon. This is always really good, a really good fun event, and we hope to see you there. If you're looking to ring in the new year at midnight, just join us in the 400 block of Myrtle Avenue from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. We will have a DJ, a light show, and a countdown at midnight when we light our New Year's Eve ball. The city has set up a community center renovation project update, and you can check that out on the website. There you can learn more about the project history, watch presentations, check out some of the concepts, as well as provide your own feedback. You can find it under Your Government Lab. If you're hoping to prepare for a cold and flu season, visit the community center to pick up your free COVID test, your N95 mask, and a Care Solis flyer. And this is all free and available while supplies last. And I'm pretty sure you'll have it on your city manager's report. Also, I just want to give an attaboy to the staff regarding the Christmas parade.
Awesome.
My God. It brought me back to my little days back when I was, I guess, 7, 8, 9 years old here in the parades where the people were so crowded on Myrtle and it was so many participants. It just brought back a lot of memories. So I just want to give an attaboy to the staff for putting on an excellent show. My God, I rated a number 10 and a half. All right. And finally, I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a happy and safe New Year.
Thank you.
And that's
very-
my report, Mayor, for the end of the year.
Thank you very much. And I know you represent Community Services, and I know that Dylan has included it in his update, just to remind everybody, because we've been so hopeful that Canyon Park would be reopening by the end of the year. But Dylan, the latest on that is, I'll have it come out of your mouth.
Spring of 2025, that's as much as we can commit to
Yeah.
at this point.
And that's where we've had the setbacks because of Edison, not because of us. So at any rate, okay, Mr. Belden.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, it's definitely a holiday season, and we've had so many fantastic events. Thank you, Larry, as well, for shouting out to all of the city staff and all the residents and all the participants of the parade. It was outstanding and amazing. I had a great time. I think everyone did that was out there. A lot going on, and I hope all you enjoy those holidays safely. We're going to be talking about Lyft later, so it's available to everyone if you need it here in Monrovia, at least for the time being. Yeah, get it while you can. So I have the pleasure of serving on the Clean Power Alliance board on behalf of the City Council. Thank you for that. They sent out an update recently. City manager put that up in terms of what our accomplishments for the year. We've almost finished up a full year with them. We have about 90% participation rate here in the city, and 95% of those folks that are participating are actually choosing the 100% green power. And because of that, the whole group overall, all of CPA, which is now the largest provider of green energy in the country, that this year offset about 12.9 billion pounds of carbon dioxide emissions by using the clean power they purchase. And I will admit that going to those meetings, they work really hard on making sure that they find great energy, but at the best prices they can find it at. And they work really diligently hard to make sure they do that. But if you're having any questions or comments or concerns about your bill, you want to find ways to save energy, you can also go to their website right now. They have an energy team that will provide insight as to what you can do, what rebates are available for you, and it's an individual service you can get. So you can call them, you can find them on virtually online as well. Just go to their website and look for the energy team and get more information there. And since I'm talking about electric things, there's an e-bike incentive that I think the city manager mentioned in the last announcement. That comes out tomorrow. It's probably going to be a really short window. It's really set up for folks that need the incentive and could use the most, get the most bang out of that potential purchase of an e-bike. And it's available. There's an income threshold for the rebate, but it's great, and it's probably going to go really fast. So check it out if you're interested, or if you have friends and family that are interested as well. And just happy holidays to everyone. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Dr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say
mentioning what my colleagues have already mentioned concerning the parade and all the wonderful things that we have going on in the city. I find it so interesting. I was talking to a Monrovian, and I was trying to update them on, they had just moved here, and all the things that's going on, and I literally ran out of breath. I couldn't even keep up with all the wonderful things that we have here. So with that, to that point, we want to say thank you to all the volunteers. Not only staff, but it takes a lot of volunteer hours to do what we do in this city. So I'd like to just take a moment to recognize all of the volunteers that work really hard to make sure, staff and volunteers, to make sure the city runs. The K-Gym movie was amazing. It was professionally done. I want to encourage everyone to be able to watch the premiere. What was the name of it again?
Welcome Wagon.
The Welcome Wagon. I learned a lot through watching that. So I want to encourage you to go to KGym on YouTube, and you could watch all of the shows and all of the specials and all the things that they put on. That's all things about Monrovia. So that's a good thing. I wanted to make mention that MOTAB, the businesses within the business district, is having an event on January the 16th, 9:30 to 10:30 at Morangue. And that's just a time of networking. So I want to extend that. If you need any more information or questions, MOTAB, they have an Instagram page. You can also reach out to Community Services Director. I'm sorry, what's Tina's official title? Is she a director? Is that right?
Director
Yeah?
of Community
She does it all.
Services.
Right, right. It's hard to pin her down. Yes, Tina.
Yeah, what doesn't she do?
You could reach out via the website to ask questions regarding that event. That's all I have, and have a safe Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. And Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had the pleasure of attending or participating in the holiday spirit in Monrovia. I attended 3 different toy drives. The first one, or more recent one, was put on by Monrovia Detail and the Police Officers Association. They worked together to put a car show on, which had a Santa sleigh, and it also had Ferraris, the Monrovia PD Special Tactical Vehicle, a Shelby 350 Mustang, which is our city manager's favorite car, and the Children's Hospital of LA, the Monrovia Guild, put on a toy drive as well with the Horseless Carriage Club of the San Gabriel Valley, as well as the Porsche Club, all for good cause. And a third toy drive happening right here in Monrovia was the Knights of Columbus working with the Monrovia Fire and Rescue to collect toys, all to help young people enjoy Christmas morning with a brand new toy. I too also went to the K-Gym premiere of the Welcome Wagon. And I want to give a shout out to Hal Evans and John Watson for the wonderful job they've done in our community. This is part of the reason why we have the sense of community here in Monrovia. It's about building community, one relationship at a time. And I just want to say thank you to them, and thank you for KHM for bringing that message out so that everybody can know about it. And hopefully in the future, so it continues. It's a Monrovia legacy that continues. I also want to say thank you to all the participants in Monrovia Holiday Parade, staff, the bands, the organizations, over almost 100 participants. I think the thing I took away from the Holiday Parade, the biggest thing were the smiles on the faces of the children that were participating in the parade. That, to me, was what made it so special. Thank you, and everybody have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Feliz Navidad.
Great, thank you, Sergio. I also wanted, there have been so many things that have gone on. The parade was great. I made it through another year on my bike, and that I didn't, that I stayed upright and made the route. So that's always exciting, but it's so fun to see all the excitement and the crowds and all that. I wanted to highlight our Santa tours as well, and our PD and fire that put that on, and they travel all the streets of the city, and it's such a great event for everyone. So I want to thank staff for that as well. And on the Welcome Wagon, we're going to have to come up, we're going to have to help Hal and John find somebody to shadow them and to take that over. It's such
Assistance.
Yes, it's such an important job that they have offered and provide a service for the city. And so can't say enough good things about the, succession. Also wanted to mention the Spark of Love. You talk about toy drives, a Spark of Love. That pretty much is, Jeremy, is that something that happens throughout LA County? But anybody through our fire departments, you can go and drop off a toy, I believe, until December to actually Christmas Eve. And they will make sure that those toys and gifts, an unwrapped toy at the fire department. But there's all sorts of information online if you want to hit another, donate at another location. But Spark of Love Toy Drive, and so be sure to check that out. Let me see here. And then Larry and I attended the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments Zero Emissions Vehicles little summit. It was an all-day event, or almost all day. Very interesting comments and issues arose and questions about the electric vehicles, zero emissions vehicles, and most of which has to do with infrastructure, whether or not we're going to have the infrastructure we need. Just a lot of, and also different types of fuel sources, the hydrogen fuel cell, things like that. Lots of great information. Did we solve any of the issues? No, but we talked about them a lot, and at least brought them forward. Also talked about the Olympics and some of the plans that they either have or don't have presently. Time is running out, so that's going to be very interesting as well. They had wanted it to be a no car event, and it's now a public transit first tone, and so we'll see how it goes. They were talking about 2,700 buses that they would need, and where are they going to come from, and where are they all going to park? Because they also need the space to park them. But at any rate, there are people that are on the job checking that out. So I don't think I think everybody covered everything, but I wanted to say as well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and just I wish the very best to you and yours. And so with that, we will close out our reports. And let's see, okay, now we're getting into our business here. Administrative reports, AR1 2025 Measure K spending plan in the amount of $16,019,040. And Mr. Feek is going to bring that one to us.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Shevlin. The item before you, which is also included in your staff report, is just the culmination of creating the 2025 Measure K spending plan in the amount of $16,019,040. Within the staff report, members of the community will be able to see 7 different projects that equal this total amount. I think after the last several discussions of Measure K and how to proceed with spending plan, it's been very rewarding to go through the process of reviewing 3 different iterations of community feedback, understanding the priorities of the community and where they would like us to spend these monies, and identifying the best projects to get started on. These 7 projects, I think, represent a variety of priorities for our community, from new parks and open spaces and green spaces to affordable housing, to program enhancements for some of our most vulnerable community members, some important transportation and infrastructure projects, which were not included as part of the Monrovia Renewal Project, as well as completing the design of our community center, as well as the actual construction of the library project. I think we assessed how the community would benefit from these 7 different projects. We tried to assess how many people would benefit, how many participants would benefit. Last week, the city staff presented to the Measure K Citizens Advisory Committee. I noticed many of them here in the council chamber today. We presented an overview of these 7 projects after about 2.5 hours with lots of questions and answers from staff. The committee was able to review these different projects, ask a lot of questions, gave a lot of feedback, I also want to highlight in the staff report that there was discussion about how the city markets the senior program enhancements. And there are perhaps ways we could better promote and gain participation through the senior programs. So looking at different ways, new flyers, different types of communications to really try to reach as many people as we can, I think was a priority. Also, there were some questions and even possible suggestions as the city considers future improvements, like the discussion was held about the Mountain Avenue signalization and road resurfacing project. Questions came up about why this particular intersection. Could the city consider other intersections? And I think for just the scope of the discussion, we tried to keep it narrow to this is the particular project that the committee was looking at. But it was important just to note that there are other intersections in town that might need the city might consider looking at. So without wanting to delay any further, the items that you have before you are listed here, all 7 projects listed in totals. If the council proceeds tonight, you'll be approving the 2025 Measure K spending plan as shown here. Each one of these items will come back to the city council as part of a contract or an approval process at some point. This is really more of a budgeting and planning process for us behind the scenes. So we'll update our fiscal year 25 and 26 budgets to reflect this. We'll still have to prepare contracts and agreements for each one of these items. The council would actually approve the spending, approve the contracts at a later time when those items come back to you. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. That's my report this evening.
Any questions of Dylan?
Maybe a comment, but I think they're great projects in here. I hope we can find ways, when feasible, to, of course, make them as affordable as possible to still get the same benefits, of course. Just a question, maybe y'all can get back to me on later, but I know in the staff report for one of our consent items with the Metro funding for the improvements down near Station Square, there's a $500,000 per signal light at each intersection. That's the fee there, and I think we're right now estimating about 1.2 million for the signal improvements at Lemon. Don't have to answer that question at Mountain, but there's a little delta there. So just thinking we can look into that when we get back to me. Thanks.
Any other questions before I ask for public comment? And Alice has a few requests for public comment. She'll call you up.
Edie Ramirez?
Is this, because I know she wanted to talk on Lyft. Is this the right?
Blame the cold, sorry. Both cards are for.
Oh, okay. I will ask, though, is anybody wanting to provide public comment on this item? Okay, all right. Then I'll come back. I did have a couple of questions, Dylan. That I know that we had asked that it was going to come back to the oversight in March. Was that?
Yes, the committee also established when its regular meetings would be March and September. Those will be the regular meetings. Now, they certainly can meet more often if needed, but those are that's the next meeting on the schedule.
And then for council, had we decided a review date for Measure K?
No, the Measure K financial policy that says the council will review at least twice annually. And so we'll include this as part of your annual budget. We also, in all of the quarterly budget updates that Buffy provides to you, we always include an update on Measure K.
Okay, great. Then with that, if there are no other questions, do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve 2025 Measure K spending plan in the amount of $16,019,040.
I'll second it.
Great, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Belden?
Yes.
Jimenez?
Yes.
Spicer?
Absolutely.
Mayor Pro
Yes.
Tem Dr. Kelly and Mayor Shevlin?
Yes, and I forgot to mention, I did want to mention and highlight in the fiscal impact that as of the fund balance, as of June of 2025, it's expected to be 31.6 million. And this 16 million 19, whatever the number was, at $40 would be coming from that. So just wanted to let you know what the balance was, or highlight the balance. Okay, then, and thank you very much, Dylan, for that report. AR2, revisions to the Go Monrovia service hours and lift pass fare, and amendment number 2 to the agreement with Pro Park LLC. So, Mr. Tchiki.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity again to present on Go Monrovia and the proposed changes. What we wanted to do tonight is to quickly kind of do a quick touch base with Council on a couple of items that you had given us some feedback on at the last Council meeting. Then go into a few different decision points or recommendations that we've done based on the research, and then talk about outreach and next steps. So to report back on the two items, so one of them was just to look into Uber and whether that was a viable option. What we found with Uber is that they're going to be very similar to Lyft in that they provide what they call Wave as well, which is wheelchair accessible vehicle service. But similar to Lyft, bless you.
Thank you.
Similar to Lyft, they won't be able to guarantee that vehicle. So they still have the same issue that Lyft would have. So if we wanted to change and go with Uber, we would be going with the same challenge, whether you have Lyft versus Uber, even a Via or another service, they all have similar issues.
Have
So-
they given us any estimate as to when they might be able to guarantee that ride?
At this point, they haven't said whether they can do that or not. Because of the business model and the way that they make their drivers independent contractors, it would require the drivers to purchase that vehicle. Those vehicles are very hard to come by. They're very expensive to modify, and they often take quite a bit of time and specialty contractors to modify them. So you don't find them very often. So it is a little bit difficult for them to say when they can guarantee it.
Got it.
The second piece that we want to report back on is the cost per hour comparison. And thank you, Mayor Shevlin, for getting some information for us. What we want to do here is show the council Pro Park was able to give us a comparison with with two contracts that they currently have close by to us. One of them is with the county in East LA, and the other is with the city of Bellflower. What we're showing here is that the cost per hour for Monrovia, what's proposed in the amendment tonight, is about $75.58 per hour. The county's contract is about $66.75 per hour, and then Bellflower is $83.04. For comparison purposes, Foothill Transit and their 270 line, it costs about $109.65 per hour. Duarte costs about $124.48. And then their system-wide average is actually $137.94, so even higher than what the other two local
And
lines
that's
are.
for bus service.
And that's for bus services. What we wanted to also make mention is that when we got feedback from council, we were able to negotiate with Pro Park a lower amount. So the $75.58 per hour represents a lower cost per hour. And so what that represents over the amended or proposed amendment tonight is about a savings or an additional contract reduction of $20,000 over that 8-month period. So a decent amount that we've been able to reduce there. I did want to also mention that Monrovia is the only agency in the region that offers same-day on-demand service. So when you look at the cost per hour and you look at the other services like a Foothill Transit or what Pro Park is providing to the county or Bellflower, those are pre-scheduled rides, or in Foothill Transit's case, it's a constant fixed route line, so you know where it is, and so you don't have to arrange for that service. Over the past 6 months, what we wanted to also show is that the dispatch, so one of the pieces that Councilmember Belden pointed out is that the dispatch piece is something that can be very costly. So in comparison, what we did here is we looked at the past 6 months. Pro Park received over 13,000 calls for service over that 6-month period, which which is significant. The county during that same period got about 3,400 calls, and then Bellflower was a little under 3,000. So what you'll see here is that our dispatching staff through ProPark are quite a bit busier than these other services. So we do feel like we're getting a very competitive rate for the services provided. And so just to remind,
Do those numbers jive with how many people are riding that thing?
what do you mean by that? I'm sorry, could
Sorry,
you clarify?
Did ProPark give us those number of calls?
Yes, that ProPark gave us the number of calls for each of those services.
Yeah, we're estimating 14,600 riders for the whole year.
Yeah, so the 13,316 calls would be very similar to the number of rides, because that would be both rides on the ADA transportation services and with Lyft. So because they dispatch rides on the Monrovia Transit side or ADA vehicles and with Lyft, I would say those numbers would jive or be very close, and I can always follow up and
Okay,
confirm
thanks.
that
So
for you.
they're also helping to direct people to Lyft, that's right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And just to circle back on funding, as council has seen this before, the program has many different funding sources, but what we wanted to focus on tonight is the one in the top right-hand corner, the Metro Local Return, which is Props A and C, and then Measure R and Measure M. So as council's aware, the city on an annual basis gets 4 different funding pots from Metro. On an annual basis, we receive about $3.3 million. What we're showing on the right-hand side is the adopted budget for fiscal year 24-25. And so what we're showing here is a myriad of different expenses, but really what we're trying to show here is that we've approved expenses of about $4.4 million, which means that we're outspending our revenue by about $1.1 million, meaning that we're dipping into reserves. What's not shown here is that if we continue at this pace and we don't make any changes, if we go this route through the rest of the fiscal year, we would only have about $500,000 left in reserves for all of those funds in total. So we will need to make some important decisions financially, but we did want to make sure that the council saw these budget figures as well.
When you say reserves, obviously, that's a fixed account for transportation?
Correct. And so these four different funding sources are what we consider special or restricted funds, meaning that they're for transportation programs or for capital improvement projects. Streets, sidewalks, curb, gutter, or transportation services like what we're talking about tonight.
Right, okay, so my question is, Alex, back when we said we were going to be working on the capital improvement every year because we wanted to stay on target in order to keep our streets up, right?
Correct.
So every year, or however this is calculated, it seems like the funding source is going down from our capital improvement for our roads, sidewalks, things like that. Am I right or wrong?
Right. So if we continued at this pace, we wouldn't be able to devote the funds for capital improvements.
So we made obligation to the community that we would maintain a, what would you call it? A maintenance.
A maintenance
Pretty much
program.
like a maintenance program. But yet and still, we're not staying on it if we continue to eat into the money in order to satisfy this program.
Correct.
And my colleague who passed away, this was one of her pet peeves.
What could we do to reverse that?
Well, so I think one of the things that we're excited to share with council based on the feedback is that we do have a couple of options to present to you tonight that we think will help achieve that goal. So we'll get into that in a couple of slides.
Okay, forgive me for getting ahead of the game.
No, it's definitely a good
At least
point.
it's not me this time.
Yeah. So what we wanted to make sure to confirm with council first is the first kind of big decision point or recommendation is that at the previous meetings we've presented, it sounded like there was consensus amongst the council that we wanted to reduce service hours. So what we're proposing tonight is Sunday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and then Friday and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 1 a.m., we felt like that gave us ample service during the weekend and also addresses the late night hours. So that would be a change from the 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week service. So we felt like we just wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page there, which it looks like it is. The second decision point now is going to be on fixed rate. So based on the council, or fixed fare, I should say, based on council's feedback last time, what staff had shown at the last, 2 meetings ago, was that we were going to do a fixed cost for the city, and then the rider paid the variable. Based on your feedback, we've now switched that back, and so now what we're showing is a fixed fare, meaning that the rider will pay the fixed fee, and then the city is paying the variable. So in option 1 here, we did want to just confirm again, Sunday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. The rider pays $6 for every Lyft trip. What we're showing here is that there's two different rows. So what we wanted to show is a little bit of like a range so that we can show based on recent ridership and then over an annual period. So from July to October of 2024, based on the ridership numbers, based on a $6 per Lyft trip, we expect that Go Monrovia's annual cost to be about $1,082,711, which would mean that we would have $485,000 for capital improvement projects. If we look at that from an annual ridership perspective for fiscal year 23-24, the number is a little bit different for the annual cost. It's a little over $1 million at $1,007,000. But the remaining money left over for CIPs would be $560,000, which is it's a pretty significant chunk. So we feel like that option represents a really good option for council to consider if we want to continue to provide the program at a fiscally sustainable rate, but also have money for capital improvement projects. The second option that we wanted to show you is for $5. So you'll see in the top left-hand corner, that annual cost for Go Monrovia would be about $1.2 million. But you do see a $328,000 set aside for capital improvements. And then based on the annual ridership, a little bit lower in cost, $1.1 million, but you see $429,000 set aside for capital improvement projects. So we feel like those two options represent really good options for us to consider for tonight. What we also wanted to show you here is that when you do the comparison, if we had stuck with the rationale from 2 meetings ago and said the rider is going to pay the variable cost and the city pays the fixed, on the far right-hand column, we wanted to do a comparison. And so to council's credit here, what you're seeing is that if we had stuck with that formula, the anticipated cost would be about $1.3 million, but only $226,000 for capital improvement projects. So council, kudos to you. Your direction has actually pushed staff to find even better options for us to consider tonight. So the $560,000 or the $429,000 represent probably some conservative numbers or optimistic numbers, I would say, in terms of what's available for capital projects. But certainly it's a much higher number than 226 if we had stayed the course with that formula. So in terms of the third decision point, which is going to be a contract with ProPark for about an 8-month term until June of 2025. This would be an amendment. We are asking council to consider a retroactive approval to November 21st of 2024 because we are currently out of contract. This would preserve our eligibility for Metro 5310 funding, which has also been helping buoy our transportation funds. And then because this contract would expire in June of 2025, staff would immediately actually start working on RFP documents to go out to do a competitive bid for this service for a longer period of time. And so then that service would then take place July 1st of 2025. And so just to go into detail, so should council take action tonight, what we'd be doing as a staff is to do outreach immediately. We'll let the holidays go through. It's a busy time. We don't want to be disruptive to the holidays, but we'll begin outreach really fast and very aggressively at the beginning of the year. Implementation beginning in February, possibly earlier if we can make sure we get it into a good spot. And then again, all changes would be implemented automatically. What we found out with Lyft is that we wouldn't have to institute a new code, which means that we can actually implement these changes quicker. So it'll just be about making sure that we outreach to the community and make sure everyone understands what the changes are. In traditional fashion, we're going to make sure that we do a UB insert, City Manager Weekly Update, Monrovia Today, and all the things that you see listed here in the slide. So then, as far as summary and next steps, what council is considering tonight are the new service hours, so Sunday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 1 a.m., an amendment with the contract for ProPark ending in June of 2025. Staff is currently recommending the $6 per trip within Monrovia and 2 approved locations. And then it's worth noting, we just wanted to call out that we'll begin working with Metro on an RFP process for ADA transportation services right away, which means then we'll be out to bid in the spring, and then an award of contract in before July 1st so we can implement right away. So with that, the recommended action tonight is option 1, approve $6 Lyft Pass, revise Go Monrovia service hours, and amendment number 2 to the agreement with ProPark. And that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any
Great.
questions.
I know that we do have some requests for public comment, but before I do that, are there any questions of Alex?
No question. I just want to thank you for bringing this back to us for the 5th time. And I'll just leave it at that for now.
When I talked to Dylan today, I got the impression that what we were doing was going to use this as like 6 months, did you say?
Yeah, the approach and part of what we weren't clear about in previous discussions is that the agreement before you tonight is only through June 30th of 2025. We want to emphasize that this is going to be a short-term placeholder with ProPark. We want to emphasize to them, because I think what we're trying to do is adjust the program, the fees, the schedule to where we need it. And now all of staff's efforts are going to be on trying to do everything we can to drive the price down. I think that's been Councilmember Belden's concern since day one, is the price. Is there anything we can do?
I think that's everyone's concern.
It is, but I think to give him credit for pointing this out early on, I think.
He's the grouchiest.
And more money to go to.
'Tis the season.
What it does is, if we can find ways to drive down costs of the program, it could be more money for transportation projects. It could be more money for the program. You know, there was also discussion at the last meeting about, could we expand services for low-income seniors or low-income community members? Where I think if we're able to correct this and right-size it, I think it's going to be better for council all around.
Well, and then maybe at the same time that we're doing that, you said through June of 2025, review the rate, whichever one we fall on. But then if we could have, there were at least a couple of public comment requests. This
Edie.
time, come on down, Edie.
For reals.
Don't you just hate that when you lose your place on your phone?
Do. I hate this. Okay. Good evening, Mayor, council members. I can't get this to work, so this is not going to.
Edie, you don't need it.
Yeah.
No, I do need this. I do need this. Okay.
We've got another person that wants to give comment. Do you want to?
I've got this.
Okay.
I've got this. The proposed increase in the Citizens Lyft fare from $5 to $6 in the city may appear modest, but it carries significant consequences for vulnerable populations, particularly senior citizens and residents living below the poverty line. With 10.5% of Monrovia's population already struggling financially, the increase could increase economic hardship and reduce access to essential transportation services. A more equitable solution lies in maintaining the current $5 fare structure while leveraging Measure K funds to offset city expenditures. Monrovia's senior citizens and low-income residents rely heavily on affordable transportation services to access critical resources such as healthcare, grocery store, and community services. A dollar fare increase, while seemingly small, adds up over time for individuals on fixed or limited incomes. Seniors. Many seniors live on fixed Social Security incomes that barely cover housing, food, and medical costs. A fare increase reduces their ability to allocate funds for other necessities. For those living below the poverty level, 10.5% of Monrovia's population, transportation is not a luxury, but a necessity. Increasing fares may force difficult trade-offs between transportation and basic needs. A citizen lift fare of $5 promotes economic mobility and social inclusion, enabling residents to participate fully in the community. Affordable transportation services have measured benefits. Reliable transportation allows residents to maintain jobs, reducing dependency on public assistance. Lower fares ensure seniors and low-income residents can attend medical appointments, reducing long-term health care costs. Affordable transportation fosters civic participation and reduces social isolation, particularly among senior citizens. Maintaining the $5 fare demonstrates Monrovia's commitment to supporting the most vulnerable population, enhancing quality of life, and granting an exclusive community. The city can utilize Measure K monies to migrate the financial impact of maintaining the current $5 fare structure. Measure K was designed to generate revenue for community benefit, including enhancing infrastructure and transportation programs, improving quality of life for residents, and addressing community equality and economic development goals. Improving quality of life for residents and addressing community quality. Oh, sorry, I already read that. By applying Measure K funds to the LIFT program, the city can achieve a balance between fiscal responsibility and social equity. By allocating these funds to sustain a $5 fare aligns the Measure K objectives while preserving affordability for low-income and senior populations. Shit. Sorry. I don't know what happened. Hold on. I seem to have lost it.
I think you got your point across.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I did not. I'm almost done. Sorry. Conclusion. Increasing the citizen lift fare to $6 may appear financially beneficial in the short term, but it risks alienating the city's most vulnerable populations and reducing the access to essential services. By maintaining the $5 fare and utilizing Measure K funds to offset expenditures, the City of Monrovia can achieve a balanced approach that supports fiscal responsibility while promoting the well-being of residents. The solution aligns with Monrovia's values and exclusively equity and community support. That does it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Kaplan.
Hello, everyone. I'm not as well prepared as my colleague, but I did want to commend the city council and the city staff because we spoke at your last meeting that I was concerned that changing from a fixed fare to a variable fare I thought was going to be more complicated for our citizenry. And then you agreed to send it back to the city staff, and they have done, I think, a wonderful job at summarizing what needed to be done. So I want to thank Alex and the other people who did, because I think that really, from my perspective, resolves the issue. And so I'm really pleased with that. The other thing I just wanted to mention, and just tangentially, because I don't know that any of you ride on Uber and Lyft, but I went on the Lyft app, and there's no connection on Lyft with anything related to a wheelchair. And I found out it's because I don't require a wheelchair. So I went into the app, and I put down that I need a wheelchair. And there is the opportunity for that, but I don't believe it comes to Monrovia. I think it's currently in some major cities like Los Angeles. But I did go on the Uber app, and they do have a wheelchair. And the wheelchair accessible vans they come at the same time, like 5 minutes, the same as it would be for a regular car to pick people up. So that's another option. And I wouldn't suggest you go from one to another, but I know that we talked last time that it costs roughly like $80 to transport somebody through the other system. And these rides within Monrovia that are not subsidized are only like $22. So it would almost seem more reasonable just to contract with them for some people. So just so that you know that there is an opportunity for people to take these wheelchair accessible vehicles through the Uber app. And I'm assuming it will be available at some point through Lyft, but that's a much cheaper alternative than having somebody, as we've been doing. Thank you.
Michael, maybe you missed Alex's comments. He did talk about the Uber, and they cannot guarantee a wheelchair.
Right.
And that was the problem.
But during the whole time since this afternoon when I did that, I've been going on the app, and each time you were speaking, I was on the app, and then I closed the app, and I put in the address that I went to in Arcadia for the surgical center. And so now it's showing the wheelchair ride will pick you up at 9:37, and the regular app to pick people up is at 9:36.
And that's something that we obviously can track.
And I'm sure there's times of the day where it's not exactly the same, but during this whole afternoon, it's only been a minute difference here and there. So it's really, the system is available. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
thank you. Are there any other requests for public comment? Any other requests for public comment on this item? Okay, then I'll bring it back to the council. Any further comments, Edward?
When I looked at the Lyft app the other day, when I clicked if I had needed a wheelchair, it also gave me the option to get a ride here in Monrovia really quickly. So I think they're both expanding, which is great, and I hope we can keep looking at that. Great job. Thank you so much for all the work that the staff done. I think it's getting there, and I just hope when we come back in 6 months or even before that we can also even look into those options for folks that might have circumstances where a reduced fare might be really beneficial for them. So what that could look like, but don't have to address that today at all. So thank you.
Any other questions? I had a question. So if someone uses just the Monrovia Transit and they're picked up and they go by Monrovia Transit, what is their charge for going on Monrovia Transit, not Lyft, Monrovia Transit?
50 cents.
50 cents. So unfortunately, we don't have the breakdown of how many people are using the Lyft to go to those doctor's appointments and whatnot. So, but the ones for Monrovia Transit, that is available, and that's only 50 cents. They don't have, and it's supposed to be similar in response time and on demand, correct?
Correct.
So you could go, you don't have to pay even the $5. You could pay 50 cents and go that way. And you would also have the wheelchair accessibility or ADA accessibility, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you, Alex, and your team for listening to what council, the direction and working on those things. I just put in the Lyft on my phone right now, and it cost me, I don't live far, I can walk home, as all of us can. It would take me almost $15 to get home if we did not have the Gold Monrovia. So this is without the $3 fixed rate. So I am pleased with the fact that for now that we do have a fixed rate. So that way I can get home, not for $15, but I can get home if it were $6 or $5. It would still be significantly lower to do that.
Well,
So-
you know what the cost of your ride's going to be. So,
Right.
yeah. So the other, and depending on, with it being variable, there's also the pricing that changes during the day. What, the surge pricing and all that. So with that and,
So Mayor,
sorry.
if it's okay with you, I would like to make a motion to approve the $6 lift pass, revise the Gold Monrovia service hours, and amend number 2 to the agreement with Pro Park LLC dated July 1, 2023 for the provisions of Americans with Disabilities Act, compliant ADA compliant transportation and dispatch services as part of the Gold Monrovia in amount not to exceed $907,900 for the period ending June 30th, 2025, and authorize the city manager to execute the necessary documents in a form approved by the city attorney.
And before we have a second on that, I want to make sure that we include that we will be bringing them back, both items, the price, the fixed price and the contract then in June of 2025 for, well, obviously, we have to
That's
get
at the end of the contract.
into the contract, but the other is to review the fixed price, see how it goes for 6 months.
And that was preventive maintenance.
Yeah. Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we please have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Belden?
Yes.
Jimenez?
Yes.
Spicer?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem
Yes.
Dr. Kelly? And Mayor Shevlin?
Yes, and I do want to underscore that the Monrovia Transit is 50 cents a ride. So there is that option for those that are both financially impacted and need the wheelchair access. Okay, moving on then to AR3, discussion regarding possibly changing the date of the Monrovia General Municipal Election to the date of the statewide general election in November of even-numbered years beginning in 2026 and provide direction to staff. And I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Steele.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This was a city council directive to bring back a discussion about potentially changing the date of the city's regular municipal election from the current municipal code provided date, which is the date of the statewide primary in even-numbered years, to the date of the statewide general election in even-numbered years. This would be the third or the fourth time in my time in working for the city that we've discussed and actually acted on changing the city's election date. Going back several years, the cities, like most cities, had their elections in odd-numbered years, and they were generally standalone elections or elections coupled with the school district or some other entities, but a lot of local agencies for years had their elections in odd-numbered years, and Monrovia was no different. And there was a period of time around 2015 or so where it started to become more difficult to administer elections in odd-numbered years. Prior to that time, the city had co-owned some ballot counting equipment with the city of Arcadia, and there was a very strong consulting outfit that ran municipal elections, and so it made it easy to conduct municipal elections and count our own votes and do the canvass here in City Hall. That became impossible when statutes started to change. Ultimately, that consultant was no longer providing those services, and a few years ago, we were required to change our election date to an even-numbered year, and either the primary election or the general election. At that time, the City Council chose the current date, which is the date of statewide primary election, and there were a lot of reasons for that, but one of the reasons was that in order to change to the general election at that time, there would have to be a shortening of existing terms, which didn't seem, I think, fair to anyone and consistent with what the voters had approved, which was electing people to 4-year terms. So the council made the change to the primary election. Then the legislature changed the law again, and even though they had a law in the books that said this is a day you can have your election, the day of the statewide primary election, they adopted a law that said, well, in years where there's a presidential election, we're going to hold the primary in March, and in years where there's not a presidential election, we're going to hold the primary in June. And that results now in a situation in Monrovia where we have a mayor who's elected every 2 years, and sometimes the mayor's going to be elected in March, and sometimes the mayor's going to be elected in June. So there's different numbers of months in the term. Sometimes some council members have a longer term than others in given years because of the variable election date. So there's a lot of kind of unique aspects that came out of what the legislature has really imposed on the city. But of course, there's a lot of research now to indicate that turnout is higher, voter turnout is higher on general election dates in November, and a number of cities are holding their municipal elections in November now, and the council wanted to have a discussion about the viability, the wisdom of changing the city's election to November instead of this kind of floating between March and June in even-numbered years. Under the provisions of the Elections Code, we're eligible to make that change now because the requirement is to hold, once a date is changed, you have to hold a set of elections on the new date before you can change them again. The other requirement is that no term of office can be extended or shortened by more than 12 months. If the council was to make the change to extend to the election date to November, in some years, that's about a 5-month term extension, and in other years, that's about a 7 or 8 month term extension, depending on the date of the election. So that would also be eligible if the council decided to make that change. If the council wants to move forward with making a change for 2026 or even for some future election, we would have to go through the process of adopting an ordinance because the city's election date is established in the municipal code. That's not a big deal, but it does take some time to prepare an ordinance and go through the 2 readings. And we would want to have that change in place early enough in 2025 so that folks who are considering running in 2026 would know what the timing is, and so as to not impact the nomination period that would come up. I guess Alice helped me out in December for a March. Yeah. So there are a number of considerations that would argue in favor of kind of doing it earlier in 2025 than later, if this is a path the council wants to go down. There are some fiscal impacts to making the change, relatively minor. There's I think Alice is shaking her head at me at the relatively minor remark, but.
We have June in 2026, so.
June, okay, that's what you were shaking your, sorry. There is a fiscal impact in that first of all, if the ordinance is adopted, it has to be transmitted to the Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors has to approve it. And if approved, then we have to mail a notice to every voter in the city of the change of the election date. That cost is noted in the staff report. I think the cost of the actual election would be relatively comparable, but there's no real way to know that until the county would be setting the cost for those elections. So the answer to the council's question is it is possible to do so. It could be done for the 2026 elections. It would involve extending council members' terms. As I say, a few months, depending on when you were elected, and that change would have to be made by ordinance. And be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Steele?
I think it makes sense to move it.
Sounds good to me.
I also want to increase the participation rate, so I'm in favor of moving it to November.
I was going to say the same thing. The more people that will have an opportunity to be a part of the process, the better.
And I was trying to explain this to the chamber today at the item on the agenda, and it has been very wonky having the March in June. So at any rate, I have no objection.
Yeah, speaking of the wonky, I will say the only time anybody who's ever come up to me in Starbucks in Monrovia on my Tuesday mornings when I do my work is about this issue and why they couldn't figure out whether it was March or June. It was the only time in almost 25 years that I've been accosted in Starbucks.
And it wasn't our doing. We really thought that.
Oh, it was all the
Yeah,
legislature's doing.
Yeah. So what do you need from us, Mr. Steele?
Direction, Mayor, if it sounds like the consensus of the council is to consider an ordinance, so sometime after the first of the year, we'll have that prepared and brought back.
And I know that when we changed it to March, I know that there had been an outcry to have it at the November date, but we were going with tradition, and it just didn't work.
And also it was unrealistic
Right.
to reduce terms.
Right.
As opposed to this instance, you could do it by extending terms, and it wouldn't be as impactful.
Well, I think you have your direction then.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then moving on to AR. Oh, I did ask, did we have any public comment on that? Okay, I'm sorry. On AR4, yes, award a contract to Booker Jack Corporation in an amount not to exceed $65,801.36 for emergency repairs to the flood control channel wall adjacent to 346 Genoa Street, et cetera. So, Mr. Tchiki.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's me again, so thank you for the opportunity. AR4, as you just mentioned, is the emergency repairs to the flood control channel wall adjacent to 346 Genoa Street. For the community, if you're not aware, this property is located where the red pin is in this presentation. This is between Mayflower and Magnolia on Genoa Street on the south side of the street, almost mid-block. It's adjacent to the flood control channel itself. Just a little bit of background. Earlier this year in the spring, the region experienced an atypical and unique storm that brought approximately 3 inches of rain during a 1 hour period. I want to really highlight and underscore that it's very unusual to have a storm behave that way. Stormwater runoff caused damage to the cinder block wall at 346 Genoa Street and then caused further damage to the flood control channel wall. And we have some photos that'll follow on a slide a little bit after. Over the last several months, we've been working with LA County Public Works, Flood Control District, our insurance and an insurance adjuster, and then the property owner on what the appropriate repairs are. We thought it was worth noting that we wanted to work with the county on this because in particular, flood control channel and the types of repairs are really kind of unusual for the city. It's unusual for the city to have ownership of this area, which we do. So we wanted to make sure we consulted with the experts to make sure we're doing what's necessary here. So as noted, the damage started at 346 Genoa Street. The stormwater runoff came onto the property, and on the picture on the left-hand side, you'll see a void that's on the west side of the wall on the private property owner's side. there was so much water and the volume of water that came onto the property that it started to undermine the cinder block wall. And then it uncovered this area drain that he had installed on his property. It's not the best picture, but what you're also seeing here is that when it starts to daylight on the bottom of that void, that goes into the storm control channel. So that void is at about a 9 to 10 foot drop.
Wow.
So then when you're looking at the picture on the right-hand side, this is the flood control channel. So this is the area that we maintain, that we're responsible for keeping clear. And so that cinder block wall is approximately 8 feet tall. The wall below it is the flood control channel wall, and that represents about a 6 to 8 foot tall wall, depending on the certain sections that you're looking at throughout this area. This flood control goes all the way from about Evergreen all the way down to about Doherty Road, and it daylights for about this entire period of time. The only time it's covered up is when you're driving on Genoa Street itself. So the picture on the right-hand side is just a snapshot of what the damage was from the spring. So you'll see a large pile of debris or concrete. What we found here is actually, it's very similar to what we found at Canyon Park, in that when they built the original wall, there was not a lot of adhesive. There's not a lot of binding material for this. They would stack stone, and then they put a little bit of mortar on the side of it to kind of bind it all together. So it wasn't kind of really strong in the first place. And so when you have that volume of water come down and undermine the cinder block wall and then come down, you're further eroding the integrity of what that wall was. And so it blew out into the flood control channel wall.
And which part of it is that we're responsible for maintaining?
So it's a little difficult to say right now. One of the items that's still pending is we're working with our insurance adjuster exactly where the limits are on this. Parts of that channel, what shows on the map right now is that the property owner at 346 and then the one across have some partial ownership closer to where Genoa is, and then we take responsibility after that. So part of what we're trying to figure out with the adjuster is where exactly does that start and stop.
I'm just curious, looking at the picture, the one on the right, how much, I mean, other than that one location, general, I mean, that looks, and I've looked at that wash many times and I've walked in it, it's not in good repair. So are we responsible for that?
We are. So, and then
Yikes.
what's also not shown here is that there's a secondary spot a little bit south of here that's included in this proposal that we'd be repairing as well.
How many of our storm drains that we think the county maintains are ours, or are our responsibility?
All of the storm drains in the city, or the catch basins in the city, we either own or we maintain to some level. So we use the county to do the maintenance on them, and then we have a master agreement with the county to then maintain the county-owned catch basins in the city.
Sorry. Like, how many more of these do we have in the city of Mendota that are our responsibility versus the county's?
This is it, as far as I'm aware, in terms of flood
Because there
control.
are quite a few little.
Yeah.
And how long is that strip of that wash?
This is, if I had to take an estimate here, is probably about a quarter of a mile, maybe less.
Yeah.
So it's not a long stretch.
It's old.
Yes, very old.
Okay.
So as far as next steps, if council approves tonight, the award of contract does require a 4/5 vote because we're doing this under an emergency. And what we're noting here is that the emergency will not permit a delay and because we can't do a competitive solicitation of bids, so immediate action is necessary. We're currently in rain season right now, and we want to make sure that we make the repair sooner rather than later. Otherwise, we risk further damage if a significant storm does come. We'll immediately work with contractor, in this case, if it's approved Poker Jack, to reinforce the wall, make the necessary repairs, and clear out the channel to the degree necessary. So we are recommending approval of this, subject to a 4/5 vote from council.
Any questions of staff? If there are no questions or public comment, then do we have a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second without objection. So do we have, oh yeah, I forgot. It's got to be, No brainer. Yes, roll call vote. Sorry about that.
Councilmembers Belden,
Yes.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Spicer.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dr.
Yes.
Kelly, and Mayor Shevlin.
Yes, so you got 5 out of 5. Is this just, I'm asking staff, is this something, I didn't realize that we were responsible for maintaining that strip of storm channel. It's in rough condition. Is there something that we ought to be looking at or reviewing?
I think what's hard to know on this one, so it is a very small section of the storm system in Monrovia. The challenge we have with this system is it's always held up just fine, and we do regular maintenance on it. It was this extreme rain event that caused significant damage. Part of what's taken us so long to review and prepare this over the course of the summer is that we had to do a lot of property record research to determine if there were other factors that contributed to the collapse, which include the retaining wall that was constructed by the private property owner. It's very big, it's very heavy, and I think ultimately we just need to fix the wall before the rain comes. So I think now as we're correcting this repair, it's certainly on our minds about what more could happen in the future. We'll review to determine if there are additional areas that need improvement, because we do need to make sure we're maintaining. But in this particular case, it was determined that the cause was that extreme rain event.
I did have one last, on that point though. So it looks like the drainage came on from their property down maybe a driveway and then shot down. So are we including a way to reroute that flow that was coming down that caused the problem?
Not at the moment. I think to Dylan's point, because it was such an extreme event, and we don't know exactly how the flow came in, we're just thinking at this point it's because of the extreme volume that caused it. So at this point right now, we don't anticipate an average storm to have the same type of volume and flow onto the property, causing the similar damage. Only the volume of 3 inches within an hour is what caused this at this point.
Okay.
Thank you. It's old and it's scary looking, so just thought I'd ask. I didn't realize we were responsible for it. Okay, then that ends our administrative reports, and then our scheduled meetings. Our next regular meeting of the Monrovia City Council is scheduled for the new year. We are dark on the first Tuesday in January, and so our next meeting is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, at 7:30 p.m. here in these council chambers. Don't run away yet, we are adjourning the council meeting, but we also have a successor agency meeting immediately following this. So we are adjourning our regularly scheduled meeting at 9:46 p.m., and we are adjourning in memory of Christine Ryan, retired administrative assistant, passport agent with the city clerk's office, and then also Gary Sutherland, a husband of Karen Sutherland, longtime resident and youth and community advocate. They were very involved with the Boys and Girls Club and very active in youth activities. So at any rate, our hearts and prayers go out, especially, it's hard to lose anyone, but during the holidays, it's especially hard. And our hearts and prayers go out to the families, and we wish them all the best. So with that, we are adjourned, and I'm going to convene the regular meeting of the successor agency to the Monrovia Redevelopment Agency. And we will start with roll call.
Yes, board members Belden,
Here.
Jimenez.
Here.
Spicer.
Here.
Vice Chairman Dr. Kelly, and Chairman Shevlin.
Here. Our consent calendar, which can routine in business and can be considered routine and enacted with one motion. We have SACC 1, 2, and 3. Are there any questions, items to be pulled, or do we have a motion to approve our consent calendar?
So
Okay,
Go ahead.
we got 3 motions.
Move for approval.
We have a motion as second.
Second.
Okay, then without objection, then so approved. Do we have any public input? Were there any requests for public input? Then we will close that portion, and we have no administrative reports. And with that, then, we are going to adjourn our successor agency meeting at 9:48. I didn't tell you what time we started, but, okay.
Just
And
know
with-
that it's adjourned.
And with that, again, the merriest, happiest of holidays, Merry Christmas, and wish all of you and yours the very best in the coming new year.
See you on Thursday.
Yeah, bye.
Thursday.
Thursday's the.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Now, are you guys going to the school district thing? Because there's another.